All right. Hopefully everyone can hear this. Hi, my name is Benjamin Tuttle. I'm going to show you how to bring in crowds for the iClone, the iClone crowd generator, bring that into Unreal Engine. This was supposed to be a full video, but I'm not sure if I have the time to do it tonight. So I'd rather stream it and show you guys. I'm going to kind of go through a couple things. If anyone's not familiar with the crowd generator, this is a fairly basic approach. Now that we're going to talk about subsequence tracks in your sequencer, how to work with those and what kind of use they are. And this could be a pretty good time saver just in case you want to work with Unreal Engine cinematics. This is actually made for somebody. But if anyone has any questions, if you want to do any tutoring, I'm available. Next week, sadly, I'm going to be away from my computer this weekend until Friday, until next Friday. So feel free to send an email and we can discuss it and set up a proper time. So I have a basic set here in Unreal Engine, and right now I have iClone opened up here. So let's uncheck this and I'll go through it. So here in iClone 8, you're going to go to Create, and there's something called Scatter. Now, you can also create what's known as an actor group. That's going to be for your crowd generation, but for now, let's just do something called Scatter. So let's generate a crowd, and there's a couple of things here to notice. One, I already have some motions lined up. This comes from Mocap Online. Here, for my characters, we already set up 3 characters here. So if you want to add more characters, you can. Not only that, but there's also that actor group here, just in case. So here we have 3 characters and 3 different motions. You see the tags. Tags are associated with the motions here. So male adult, female adult. And then you see with the tags, kind of, the motions will go with, whatever tag it is. I have it set to looping because these are mainly looping animations. If they don't, I wouldn't turn on loop. Otherwise, it looks pretty weird, but they're looping mocap files. Then, you can select that for obvious reasons. So a couple of things here. You can create a volume. So this is where your actors are going to go. So let's put that here. What this is going to do is it creates like this little bounding box. You see the circles with the arrows. That's where your characters are going to be. For now, we've done 3. When I was tutoring somebody, we were bringing in 30, and that took a long time. So I don't think you should bring in you could bring in as many as you want, but remember, the more characters you bring in, the longer it's going to take. Hopefully everyone can hear me. Apparently someone was having trouble hearing me, so let me know if you're having issues as well. So let's actually discuss this volume here. R is the scale. You can increase the bounding box as well. And this is just going to be for characters who are, let's say we have a nightclub scene, they're all dancing. You can do that here. The amount, you can change it to whatever. So we'll just do 3 because we have 3 characters here. The orientation, obviously where they're rotated here, goes 0 to 360. And the random orientation is, they're uniform, and then it can be completely chaotic. So you can adjust that. And, this is just your fairly basic stuff. Reolution has much more in-depth videos about the crowd generation tool. So, if you're working with nav mesh and everything, you can have characters running around a set. It's fairly useful for quick productions. I'm starting to like it. I've started playing around with it a bit more. So go to deploy actors, and they're going to generate a random motion. And let's exit out of that. And there we go. So if we play the animation, they're going to be dancing. And it's going to loop for about 30 seconds or however long it's going to take. Okay. So a couple things we need to do is we need to go to plugins, Unreal Live Link, click on that. Personally, I just only bring in characters, nothing else. Just only characters, make it easy for myself. I don't, I would rather do all the lighting and camera work inside of Unreal. There's a lot more opportunities and you get smoother animation if you know what you're doing. So let's just include, so in the transfer tool, let's include motion. I'm going to go to range and bake all animations to a sequencer. So what this will do is it kind of turns this crowd animation of 3 people or how many you shove in. It's going to bake everything into a simple animation file, and I'll show you once we get into Unreal Engine. So click on transfer file. We're not doing 32 people or 50 people like I've done before. That's not, I wouldn't do that. We'll be here all night, or it'll take like a half an hour to an hour. Depends from my experience. There we go. So right now it's just bringing all the characters in, just bringing in 3. There we go. It's ready to go. Okay. So 3 characters are in. Good. So if we go to content drawer, you go to RL level sequence, and let's go to this one here. You see, it's all what are your system specs. I have a 2080 for for GPU. I don't exactly know what my CPU is, so keep that in mind. My computer, when it comes to graphics cards, it's on the low end. I have a 2080. My CPU is fairly good. I just don't know what it is top of my head. So we have our characters. They're all dancing. Good. Okay, but what about these 3? So we'll just go to the ones that don't have this little lightning bolt here. Click on them, and you're gonna hide these. You're gonna hide them. And now that under detail, RAM. I think I have 64 gig RAM. So under details, you go to hidden. But I also was screen sharing, so that's why it took a long time. So under hidden, go to actor hidden in game, and also it doesn't hurt to check this hidden scene capture. So select these 2 and play, and there you go. No more characters. So they're dancing, they're having a good time. I will need to upgrade my graphics card. I'm looking into it, but not now. Yeah. So we have one person here. This is just goofy dancing. And it'll go on for at least 1800 frames. So let's say this. You have a character that, you have a main character and you have like 100 of these people dancing around. And, they're wandering around and you have all the characters dancing in like a nightclub or whatever. There's like 100 people. And then suddenly you're not really in the mood. You just want to have them walk in a balcony or walk somewhere and you see people dancing. And you don't want to, you don't want to deal with that headache of having like 100 of these characters dancing here. So what do you do? Well, that's easy. So we're going to rename. I usually like to rename these things. So I like to rename my level sequences. So we're going to go here. And I'm going to make a new level sequence. So go to up here in this icon, go to add level sequence, and then I'm just going to call it, level sequence 3, whatever you guys want to call it. Now, for the sake of it, let's just do like 60 frames per second. You can do like 24, it doesn't matter, but. So what do you do? How do we bring this in? So the first thing we need to do is add something what's called a subsequence track. A subsequence is basically going to have your sequence tracks. So let's go up to here, sequence, so add subsequence track here. And then you're going to go to this plus and go to dancing. And there you go. You have your characters. So let's say you want to add more characters. You can easily add more subsequence tracks. It makes things a lot easier to organize. You can work with your camera work, none of that. But I usually like with much more complicated scenes. Let's say I have a lot of lighting or there's a lot of visual effects or stuff like that. You want to at least go... let's say I usually have like a main character, and then if you have extras, you can put them in subsequence. So what I'd like to do is I like to add a folder, and sometimes I do like actors, and then maybe camera work, lights, visual effects. So add folder, go to sequences. Here, let's go through here. There we go. So they're dancing. Then let's say. I want to delete this. Let's bring in Kevin to like wander around here. So let's go through here. Sorry, it's getting pretty late on my end. There we go. Go to characters. Let's find Kevin. There we go. Okay, so what I need to do is record Kevin. Let's start. Okay, whatever. So we're just going to work with Motion Director. Yes. So there we go. Come on, Kevin. There we go. Okay, we're done. Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of, like I said, it's not perfect because I was recording, but still. Let's do 3,700, whatever. However long this scene was. Yeah, that works. Okay. All right, and good. And finally, let's go to window, and let's just go image. Let's go with all panels. And finally, let's just go through, plugins, back to Unreal Live Link. My character, let's also bake animation sequencer. Let's have Kevin, good, and send him through. So this is kind of really bad lighting. I like to work with rectangular lights. So you can do this here. Let's work with here. Set 45-degree angle. And, you know, change the color temperature to like 5500. There we go. Something like that. And it's going to bring in Kevin. It doesn't hurt to put like characters just standing around, put like little boxes under and transfer. So, you know, have like little markers, so if characters are blocking or whatever. It always helps. That's how I see it. iClone to me is like a blocking and animation tool. So put like little shapes and just bring it into iClone. That way you know where your characters are supposed to be. Helps a lot. Okay, is Kevin in? And for now, I'm probably just going to close out of iClone because we're done. There we go. So Kevin's done. He has his animation. All good. Good to go. We're going to... And you see Kevin here. Press save all. Yeah, that's fine. Same thing. Going to hide Kevin a bit. Go to hidden in your details. In game and scene capture. There we go. So when we have our animation, let's go to our level sequence. Sorry, sequence 3. There we go. So for subsequences, let's say I want to add another track. Let's go with the another subsequence track, but we'll also bring in Kevin's animation too. So something like this. Okay, so this is where Kevin gets to have a little fit. That's fine with me. So I like to do is I like to delete Kevin. And we'll have to bring him in again. Sometimes it doesn't work right away. That's okay. So what I like to do is bring in Kevin here. So he's right through 0, 0, and 0. And we can also bring him in, make sure, and this animation would be something like this. And he will also stand here, and you can also make small adjustments. Huh, there we go. Yeah, I guess he needed to do this as well. Yeah, you can tell. Not only that, but he has a little cigarette in his hand because the motion director. So you can make sure you kind of delete those before you send those in. So, kind of notice a little ghosting, which means we're going to actually experiment. So I'm actually going to do 48 frames per second. And there's a couple things I want to try out too. So let's get a camera going. I can show you how to fix this. This actually comes from one of William's videos today. So let's just add a basic Cinecamera actor. Let's pilot. You know, maybe I'll just have the camera kind of follow Kevin along. There we go. Transform. Something like that. Even though this isn't really, yeah, it's one of their little weird little bugs, but whatever. Gonna see a little ghosting effect here. That's okay. So there's something we can do. What I'm probably going to do is go to film. Sorry, rendering features, motion blur. Let's actually set this thing to at least 1. And let's also let's go lens too. Let's do 48. Not so much ghosting, but there is ghosting. There's like a little method we're going to try. So let's go through here. Let's go through this here. Let's actually do EXR. Yeah, let's go to anti-aliasing. You want to be careful about temporal sample counts here, so let's go to 5. And we may even have to go down to 3, especially with hair, because that's why the hair jumps anytime you use soft cloth. So we're going to render this in 48 frames per second. Sure, actually we're going to save it here under Kevin walking. And for now, I'll just do Kevin walking. And do render. And, you know, so why am I rendering in 20 and 48 frames per second? It's pretty simple. It's one of those little things. I want to see if I can actually prevent ghosting. I've kind of dealt with it for a long time. It's something you'll probably be seeing that at Endgame. I saw one of Wim's videos covering how, like, what he does. One, you have to set up the temporal, but the problem is, if you're dealing with soft cloth, you're going to run into that issue where the hair's going to flicker back and forth quickly. So one of his little solutions was you apparently you render in 48 frames per second, and then you combine them into one. But we'll see how well this works. I'm going to keep it to 5. He recommends like 15 or so, but that's going to cause a lot of issues. So this is just me trying to experiment. It is actually, it looks like to be pretty effective for what it is. Yeah, this isn't really a really pretty animation or anything like that, but what I'm looking for is making sure we don't have any ghosting issues. And I may have to keep the sample to like maybe 5 as the maximum. But I don't see any ghosting. And I may have to experiment more like with shutter angle and all that. So sorry, I'm just kind of moving ahead. Not only that, but if you want to render, let's say if you actually want really effective slow motion, you always want to shoot like at a higher frame rate. I've explained it before in like a lot of production, like a lot of my live streams when I was covering Shockbreak and Skygirl. I usually shoot like 120 frames per second if I'm doing slow motion. That way, I can slow it down effectively. Hmm. So far, it's looking like it's fairly effective. Usually there would be like ghosting here. So this was a pretty good method. Now, yeah, like I said, the one thing I'm a little nervous about is this is something I'm going to have to experiment when I get back next week and I'm going to do a lot more research, is soft cloth. Because when you kind of set your samples a little too high, it's going to flicker. I have a video on that. I get them from iClone store. Like a lot of my characters from iClone, I would get them. There's a while, it was like, there was a time where I've gotten like a couple of suits from like CG Trader, from Polygonal Miniatures, um, because they sold stuff, Real Illusion stuff, but they always had a sale at some 3D site that was a lot cheaper than iClone stuff, but you had to go and import them in. Okay, but yeah, a lot of times it's just gonna be in the marketplace, in the Real Illusion marketplace here. Actually, let me check for you guys quickly. Okay. Sorry, I'm looking at Humble Bundle. That's another one, but yeah, they don't have anything really too interesting. They did. There was something I was looking at, but apparently that's gone. All right, so let's go to Premiere. I'm sure whatever program you use will have this option as well. It should. Just gonna be a little patient here. In the meantime, I can close out here. Actually, yeah, I can close it out. Premiere's been kind of temperamental lately. There we go. So Kevin walking, it's going to import here. So if we do interpret footage, I'm going to do it under 24 frames per second. But what that's going to do is it's going to slow, oops, sorry, didn't mean to hit the pop filter. It's going to slow everything down to like half the speed. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to speed and duration, and I'm going to do 200%. So let's see, it was 100. Let's do 200% and see if that works. No, not so much. Oh, that's not bad. I don't see. Usually there would be like ghosting or something here. Not bad. There's some motion blur too. That's awesome. Man, that's been driving me nuts for years. I didn't know about this. Cool. So I'll have to play around with the subsample, make sure nothing is causing serious issues. I'll keep it to like 3 and 5 and see what works. No, I'm happy. No ghosting. Well, there's some, but it's not that. It's barely noticeable. Yeah, that's gonna be something for Endgame. Like when I work on part 2. Cool. Yeah, that also answered the other question. That's awesome. No ghosting. All right, so yeah. That should do it for tonight. Just kind of covered how to bring in some basic iClone animations here. Showed you how to add a subsequence track. So this could be like if you ever want to make, you know what? Huh. Hold on a minute. Wasn't there like something from Twinmotion about musical instruments or something? I swear I saw something here. Uh, I guess not. I'm not seeing it. I'm going nuts. I swear I saw something. I see Decagon having something. There's a trumpet. I see, what was it called? Let's see. What was that? Wow, what's that instrument? I'm an idiot. I'm trying to remember. It's a pocket trumpet or something. Hmm. I don't remember. So yeah, this is what I was looking at here. So we have a pocket trumpet. I wonder if there's like a. Okay, so I see a microphone. Interesting. Oh well, right now, like I said, I'm in that stage with Endgame where I'm editing everything, so it's kind of it wouldn't really make much of a good stream. So maybe I can actually, I don't know, I could make something later on when I get back. I'm going to New Orleans in a couple of weeks, so or next week, so I'll probably kind of get a few ideas what to build, get a crowd going, and get a scene. So that should do it. If anyone has any questions, yeah,